Hey everybody, welcome to Mondo Comics. I'm your host Armando Ortega, and today we'll be looking at my favorite top 10 costumes of Spider-Man. Like I mentioned in my pilot video, Spider-Man is my all-time favorite hero, and with the new Civil War movie coming up, I just wanted to talk to you guys about my favorite costumes that Spider-Man wore throughout the years. Note that this list isn't going to be solely about Peter Parker in the regular Earth 616 universe. It's going to come from different universes in the entire Marvel universe, but the costumes are absolutely amazing. They're incredible. They're just like, oh! Every time I see them in comics, every time I see them in pictures, anywhere, I absolutely enjoy them. They're awesome costumes, and some of them even give Spider-Man more abilities than his standard abilities. Alright, now with that out of the way, let's start with number 10, and that will be the Future Foundation Spider-Man. The Future Foundation costume was given to Spider-Man upon joining the Future Foundation as part of Johnny Storm's last will before his death. And it's an awesome costume. It's black and white, as you can see in the screen right now. And the reason it's black and white is because it's made of a third generation unstable molecule. What that allows him to do is to change into his classic red and blue costume and his civilian clothes whenever he chooses to. Although once he got this costume, he started wearing the black and white scheme a lot more, which for a while it became his default costume. It also has a stealth mode. Whenever the Future Foundation goes into missions where they have to keep a low profile, then they're able to change that costume into stealth mode, which is basically the color schemes in reverse. All the white parts become black and all the black parts become white, and it still looks awesome. When I first saw the white and black color scheme and everything, I thought, wow, this costume is incredible for Spider-Man. It looked really awesome with the rest of the Future Foundation too. But then when he switched into stealth mode, that was an awesome stealth mode. That was an awesome color scheme. Although it was the same colors, they made it look even more cooler than the original. In number 9, it's going to be the Stealth Suit Spider-Man. Spider-Man invented this stealth suit in order to combat Hobgoblin's sonic scream. The way it works is by wrapping light and sound around it, making it invisible. This costume was later used by Kane, the Scarlet Spider-Man, to defeat Spider-Queen. The thing you gotta know about me is that when I see the Spider costumes, it's not only the abilities that it gives Spider-Man to do on top of that he already has, but it's also how they look, the colors that they come with, their color scheme, their patterns, their designs. It's everything about that adds on to why these costumes become my favorite. And this is the number 9 spot because even though majority of the costume is black, the spider symbol is enlarged and the eyes become neon green. There's also a red version of it, and they're both awesome, although personally I prefer the green one because green is of course my favorite color. What it can do is the Omni Harmonics provide cloaking and sound canceling abilities. It also comes equipped with anti-metal spider tracers, and it could mend itself after it's been damaged, meaning that when Spider-Man is using that costume and it becomes damaged in any sort of way, the suit automatically repairs itself, kind of like it's alive. And the suit is also fireproof, which means like he could run into burning buildings and he doesn't have to worry about getting burned. So, you know, that's pretty sick. Number 8 is Scarlet Spider-Man, Kane Parker's version. I know everybody loves Ben Reilly, but for me, it's Kane Parker. He's awesome. His suit doesn't give him any special abilities or anything like that. It's just really cool. It's a red and black scheme. It's really awesome. I just loved how it looked. The first time I saw that one, it just blew my mind. It was one of the coolest costumes that I saw to that date. And also there's this one picture I'm gonna put on the screen now that shows Scarlet Spider beating up a bunch of Santas. I mean, I haven't read that comic yet, but it looks really sick. You know, I showed that to my lady who loves Christmas and she was like, why you gotta do that? So if anybody could tell me which comic that one is, I'd be very much appreciative because I really want to see that panel. Coming up in number 7 is Negative Zone Spider-Man. During his visit to the Negative Zone, Spider-Man's suit turned to black and white. Being as the Negative Zone doesn't have any colors, Spider-Man seemed almost invisible. He was wearing his regular red and blue costume, if I'm correct. And when he went to the Negative Zone, the black webbing in his red and blue costume turned white and everything else turned black. It was a really simple change, but it also came out with a really cool design. It's awesome. At number 6, it's the spider suit from Earth 8351. In this universe, in Earth 8351, Spider-Man is actually an assassin. His story in that world is actually really cool, and I'll make another video explaining who these Spider-Mans are and going more in depth with their characters. This costume reminds me of Kane Parker's Scarlet Spider-Man costume, but the eyes are black. It's a subtle change, but it makes Spider-Man look really serious. It makes him look a lot meaner than his Earth 616 counterpart. And small fact about it, in this Earth, he actually doesn't kid around. He doesn't make little funny quips or little smart remarks like the regular Spider-Man that we all know and love does. He's a lot more serious. He takes his job as an assassin a lot more serious, and that's why this Spider-Man is number 6 in my list. Coming in number 5 is Spider-Man 2099. As we all know, this is Spider-Man from the year 2099, and even though his costume is also red and blue, it actually has a nice cooler design on it, but it's actually able to do a couple of cool things. The suit is made of unstable molecule fabric. It is made to be indestructible and designed to interact with Spider-Man's powers. Even though this version isn't a different version of Peter Parker, it's actually Miguel O'Hara, and although he is very similar to our regular Spider-Man, he has some changes here and there. That's why this costume is a lot more convenient. That's why this costume is a lot more useful to Miguel O'Hara's Spider-Man, as if it were to be Peter Parker Spider-Man. The suit also allows him limited protection from energy weapons, as they cannot penetrate the suit. Although there are times where energy blasts have been able to get through the suit and hurt Miguel a lot. This suit actually also allows Miguel to glide from building to building, which is actually really good considering the year 2099. There are a lot of tall skyscrapers there. There are a lot of flying cars and everything overlapping one another, so that gliding function is actually really good. And number 4 is going to be Spider-Man Noir. The reason I love this costume is because it's so simple. It's just a regular handmade mask, a trench coat, a vest, a sweater, some pants, and boots. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing that was made by a genius or anything. It's old school. This is Peter Parker from the year 1930. It's very dark, it's very mysterious, it's very troublesome during those times. And this Peter Parker takes up the mantle of Spider-Man after gaining his spider powers, and this is the costume that he uses. It's really awesome. As soon as I saw this one years ago, I just knew this was going to be one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man costumes out there. At number 3, it's going to be the symbiote costume, the classic symbiote costume, as we all know. We all love the symbiote costume. The symbiote costume is really awesome. It's a classic for Spider-Man. It's one of the first costumes Spider-Man switches off to from his classic red and blue. And this costume is just incredible. We've seen it in a lot of TV shows, we've seen it in movies, we've seen it in video games, in a lot of video games, and a lot more comic books. As we all know, this isn't just another costume that's made out of different fabrics or different molecules. It is actually an actual alien that takes over Spider-Man's body, using him as a host. And although it grants him so much more power, so much more strength and agility and awareness than what his regular powers do, it comes in the price. So we all know whenever Spider-Man uses this costume, although his powers double or triple or quadruple, it actually makes him a lot more of a jerk. It actually makes him a lot more selfish and a lot more angry and a lot more frustrated, and that is the big reason why Peter had to get rid of this costume. Although it's not all bad, because Black Cat, as we all know, in one comic book, she actually preferred him in his black costume, and she actually sewed him a new black costume. So he is able to look as cool, but without having a symbiote latching onto him for dear life. Number 2 will be the classic armored Spider-Man Mark 1. To my knowledge, there's actually 3 different versions of the Spider-Man costume, but this is the first version. This is the silver black plated armored Spider-Man costume that Spider-Man made in one of his comic issues, where a lot of bad guys are coming out with armor piercing rounds, a lot of high caliber bullets, and Spider-Man had to find a way in order to go against that without getting hurt, in order to stop the crime that was being committed. And his answer was being able to create the armored Spider-Man costume. It looks really cool. It does protect Spider-Man from a lot of different sorts of bullets, but it also comes in a price. You see, whenever Spider-Man wears this costume, it actually slows his movement down. It slows him down. Although he's still pretty agile and pretty fast, he's not as fast or agile as he can be. And that's why he took on to creating the Mark II and the Mark III. And those are really cool, but not as cool as this one, in my opinion. And now my number 1 all-time favorite Spider-Man costume has to be the Cosmic Spider-Man. The Cosmic Spider-Man costume has to be one of the coolest costumes ever. Although a lot of people aren't a fan of how it looks, I am. And it really makes Spider-Man a lot cooler than what he already is. As we all know, the cosmic powers came from Captain Universe, and he granted him these buttload of powers that are just awesome. And I'm about to listen to you right now, so get ready. The costume, the powers, grant him the unit powers, which give him all these things like matter control, manipulation and reconfiguration, energy emission, and absorption. Spider-Man can rearrange matter to recreate other configurations and can even transmute elements. Spider-Man can channel beams of energy through his hands with sufficient destructive force to destroy planets. Freaking planets! Other powers that it grants him are creating force field, facing through solid matter, accelerating the evolution of life forms on a planet-wide scale, seeing the past by peeling back the layers of time, time travel, cast illusions, transdimensional travel, manipulation, and discharging of any form of energy or radiation, bestowing limited cosmic powers to others, reading minds, influencing human emotion and sensation. Spider-Man also possesses the ability to suppress the power of other mutants or other super beings, making them temporarily or permanently out of use to them, if he so chooses so. He can also heal living things that are on the brink of death, but the thing that he cannot do is raise people from the death. Dude, Spider-Man has like godlike strength. Spider-Man possesses an almost limitless superhuman strength, and the exact magnitude still remains to be shown. So I mean, like, limitless. And the unit power just increases his strength even beyond that. So imagine limitless strength, but you're able to make it even more limitless. Like, how can you do that? It's already almost limitless. I guess you can make it unlimited. I don't know. Unlimited invulnerability. I mean, like, you can't destroy the skin from the unit power. You can't. You can try, but you can't. It could easily withstand the rigors of deep space travel, and his body was made highly resistant to energy, making him invulnerable to almost all types of physical harm. Spider-Man could easily withstand the crushing pressures of a black hole while he is Cosmic Spider-Man. He is not bothered by the friction associated with atmospheric re-entry, and can withstand plunges into stars and even supernovas unharmed. None of that stuff phases that dude. He has godlike stamina. Spider-Man's highly enhanced muscular self regenerates no fatigue toxins, nor body stress or sweat, granting him inexhaustible physical stamina. This dude can go on forever without needing to stop for a rest. He has hyperspace travel. He can exceed the speed of light. Spider-Man can shift himself into hyperspace, a dimension in which velocity is not limited by the speed of light. His cosmic senses are far greater than his spider senses. I choose the cosmic senses over the spidey sense any day. Spider-Man has certain cosmic energy enhanced perceptions which enable him through concentration to become aware of the patterns of energy anywhere in the world. These abilities allow him to far-ranging vision. In space, he can see people clearly over a light year away. The ability to see subatomic particles, superhuman hearing, the ability to detect fields, traces, and concentrations of pure forms of energy and discern their names. And also there's the cosmic self-sustenance. Spider-Man does not need to eat or breathe since he absorbs life-maintaining cosmic energies directly through his skin. You guys can see why Cosmic Spider-Man is my favorite Spider-Man ever. He is basically the Marvel Universe's god. Not a god, the god. Well, maybe under the one above all and the living tribunal. But he's one of the most powerful characters in the entire Marvel Universe. I would even say he could put up a challenge against Thanos, maybe even with the Infinity Gauntlet. Most likely even with the Infinity Gauntlet, he could still pull up a fight with Thanos. He's just that incredible. And that is, although that is my opinion, that's what I feel we can do. Well, these are my top 10 favorite Spider-Man costumes. And I want to hear from you guys. What are your favorite Spider-Man costumes? Just leave them down below and I'll read through them and I'll check them out. And if they're awesome, maybe I'll make a part 2 of this video, naming even more Spider-Man costumes. Now I have a question for you guys before I sign off. Do you guys think the Iron Spider-Man costume is going to come out in the new Civil War movie? Personally, I feel like maybe it will. I know we saw Spider-Man's eye closing thing in the Civil War trailer that maybe could replace the Iron Spider-Man costume, but the Iron Spider is such a classic costume and is such a well-known costume that I can't imagine the MCU using Spider-Man during the Civil War storyline without introducing the Iron Spider. Let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this list. And if you know one that I haven't mentioned, leave it in the comments below. I would love to check it out. Thank you for tuning into Mondo Comics, and I will catch you next time. Have a good one.
Catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud, he's got radioactive blood.